Hello, sixth graders. Today we are going to continue with our lesson on determining word meaning in our Ready reading books. And today we're going to be reading about the power of music. So have your books open to page 100. I'm going to do the first read with you because remember we talked about our 3-read protocol. So I'm going to do the first read with you right now, and I'll read this out loud. The second, after the first read, we're going to review the question so you know what to answer. And then you're going to read it on your own. And then for the third time, I want you to look for the answers to these questions in the passage and underline or highlight important details or links to help you answer the questions. Okay, so this is called The Power of Music by Elena Manns. Many musicians have an instinctive understanding of how musical sound interacts with our bodies. They know, they feel that sound impacts our bodies in a way no other art does. Opera singer Irene Gubrud says, as a very young child, I experienced who I was through sound. I felt whole. Daniel Bernard Romain, a young cross-genre violinist who is known as DBR, thinks one reason music is so powerful is, oopsies, what happened? Is that sound actually penetrates our bodies. You know when someone says that a piece of music touched me or moved me, it's very literal. The sound of my voice enters your ear canal and it's moving your eardrum. That's a very intimate act. I am very literally touching you, and when you speak to me, you are literally touching me. And then we extend that principle to the sound of a violin. The conductor and pianist, Daniel Barenboim, believes that our early connection to sound is another reason for its power, one that in today's world we sometimes forget. He thinks that because we live in a very visual society, we're more aware of what we see than what we hear. But he reminds us that the latest scientific evidence reveals that the ear, which we now know is active even in the womb, has an advantage over the eye. He also says the ear has a head start over the eye, which doesn't see anything until it comes out. The eye is also something that one can control more fully. If you don't like the way I look and you don't want to see me, you close your eyes and I disappear. But if you don't like my voice and you're in the same room, then you cannot shut your ears in a natural way. Sound literally penetrates the human body. The human relationship to sound starts early. The fetus begins to develop an auditory system between 17 and 19 weeks. Already we are in a world of sound, a breath and a heartbeat of rhythm and vibration. But how do we know what the fetus actually hears? Until recently, there were different theories. Some doctors thought that the fetus could hear only some frequencies, probably high ones. It certainly wasn't known whether we could hear and respond to music before birth until the groundbreaking research of Sheila Woodward, a South African who wanted to know more about musical sound in the womb. She was a young scientist in the early 1990s and pregnant. She wondered what music her own child was being exposed to before birth. In her studies at the University of Cape Town, she worked with the Institute for Maritime Technology to adapt an underwater microphone so it could be placed in the uterus. As we listen to the recordings that Woodward conducted with several mothers in early stages of labor, we first hear the rhythmic sound of blood coursing through the uterine arteries. Says Woodward, nature allows us to evolve with rhythm all around us, and her recordings reveal that a landscape of musical sound does indeed surround the fetus. Along with the natural womb sounds, we can hear the strains of a Brandenburg concerto being played, or the melody of Mary Had a Little Lamb, as Woodward sings in a normal tone of voice. The recordings show that the very high frequencies, like the sharp attack of an instrument, are annuated, att- attunated and sound a bit muffled. Excuse me. The overall effect is like listening to music underwater. But when listening to the human voice, one can still detect whether it's a woman or a man, and the tonal quality of the voice comes through. Just because the sound of music exists in the womb doesn't necessarily mean that the fetus hears it. Yet, the startle response of the fetus was measured as well, and Woodward's team found that when music was played, the fetal heart rate became slightly elevated. Woodward says it was clear that the fetus reacted as if to say, "Something's happened and now there's music." Other studies show that even if only the mother hears music, if she has headphones on and it is music that she finds soothing, the baby's heart rate lowers while the mother is listening. If the mother finds a certain piece of music stressful, the baby's heart rate goes up. So the fetus is echoing the mother's response to the quality of the music. Woodward is convinced that we begin learning about music even before birth. She points out that even when music that can penetrate the womb is absent, the fetus is surrounded by those natural rhythms of the body: heartbeat, pulse, and breath. Well, that was a really interesting article. Some really cool studies there about listening to music in the womb. Okay, question number 1. In paragraph 1, when opera singer Irene Gubrud said, "I felt whole," what does she mean? So again, we're talking when we're talking about determining word meaning, we're talking about is it figurative, literal, is it technical? What context tells you what it means? We talk a lot about context clues. So here we're talking about I felt whole. What does she mean that she felt whole? A, she always knew she would grow up to sing opera. B, she realized that nothing was missing from her life. C, she understood that sound affected her body. Or D, she believed that opera was the best type of music. So I'm going to actually underline um, right here, and it's by Gubrud. So I can go back up to the passage now, and it says it's in paragraph 1. And after I do my second and third read, I can look for specifically, it says right here, I felt whole. So using context from this first paragraph, what does this mean? What is the most likely answer based off of that? So I'm going to go back down to the questions, and that's when you'll choose A through D. Question number 2. This is from paragraph 5, and the sentence says, the overall effect is like listening to music underwater. What does the sentence tell the reader about how the music sounded? So the music sounded, and then it says right here, it's like listening to music underwater. So how did the music sound then? Because you guys know what it's like to be underwater, right, when we're swimming. So the music sounded like waves. The music sounded loud and thunderous. The music sounded muted and distant, or the music sounded mysterious. What would be the best way to describe how the music sounded if it sounded like it was underwater? How does sound what does it sound like underwater? What does anything sound like? Have you ever tried to talk underwater or listen to someone underwater? What does it sound like? Okay, number 3. Which sentence from the book excerpt shows the author's positive feelings about music? So we're looking at for a positive connotation here. So a positive feeling about music. They feel that sound impacts our bodies in a way no other art does. He thinks that because we live in a very visual society, we're more aware of what we see than what we hear. The human relationship to sound starts early, or Woodward is convinced that we begin learning about music even before birth. Which one of these quotes has a positive feeling or positive connotation toward music? That's what you're looking for here. Number 4. Which phrase from the book excerpt best helps a reader understand the meaning of the term startle response. All right, startle response, and we're looking for the understanding of the meaning of startle response. Well, first of all, let's find startle response in our passage because maybe we can use context clues to help us understand what startle response means. So I'm going to go back up to our passage here, and I'm going to, oh, here it is. In paragraph 6, startle response. So just because the sound of music exists in the womb doesn't necessarily mean that the fetus hears it. Yet the startle response of the fetus was measured as well, and Woodward's team found that when music was played, the fetal heart rate became slightly elevated. So using context clues, what do you think startle response means? So let's look at our choices here. Let's see, the fetal heart rate became slightly elevated. The baby's heart rate lowers while the mother is listening. The mother finds a certain piece of music stressful, or the fetus is echoing the mother's response. So out of these 4 quotes, which one helps you to understand what startle response means? Okay, question number 5. The author uses the phrase tonal quality in paragraph 5. Review the context surrounding the phrase, then explain the meaning of this technical term in your own words. Okay, so you're going to be defining what tonal quality is. So here's 2 things that you're doing. You're defining tonal quality and you're giving an example, okay? Because we're always giving example to support our claim, whatever it is. So let's go back up to paragraph 5 and look for tonal quality and look for the context that it is in, and we're going to underline it. Okay, I'm looking for tonal quality. You may find it before me. Tone of voice. Oh, here we go. And the tonal quality of the voice comes through. Okay, so I'm also going to underline the sentence prior to that because I think the sentence prior to that is going to help me with my context. So the overall effect is like listening to music underwater, but when listening to the human voice, one can still detect whether it's a woman or a man, and the tonal quality of the voice comes through. Okay, so based off of this context and what this paragraph has been talking about, what do you think tonal quality means here? What is its technical meaning? And then what example from here can you give to support what you think it means? All right, well, that's everything. Don't forget to read this a second and third time. We've set you up for the questions to help you answer them. And then, of course, if you need help, though, you can always reach out to me during office hours. Bye.